Hi, everyone, and welcome to the 2021-22 school year. You are in the right place if your student takes World History 2, Pre-IB World History 2 with Miss Fritz. A little bit about me. My name is Alyssa Fritz. I teach AVID. I teach Pre-IB World History 1, and I teach Pre-IB World History 2, which is for sophomores. I was a Viking, so I went to Inglemoor High School as a student, and I love being back here to teach. This is my third year at Inglemoor, and I have enjoyed it very much, even though it's been a little different with being online. I have really liked teaching here and loved being a student here. After Inglemoor High School, I went to Western Washington University. I got my degree in political science and environmental policy. I went on to University of Oregon School of Law, where I graduated with my JD and practiced law for about 2 years and clerked for a Washington State Supreme Court justice for a year. After about 2 years practicing, I decided that what I really loved was working with young people and teaching. So I went to Seattle University to get my master's in teaching and then started working at Inglemoor. When I am not teaching, I love being outside, going for runs, spending time with my husband, hiking with my dog, or just enjoying kind of eating out at restaurants in Seattle and Bothell when we can do that. So my overall approach to teaching pre-IB and in general is really to help students become critical thinking members of society who understand the importance of civic involvement and respectful discourse. I would also add to that something that is a goal of mine and is something we will work on this year is teaching students how to critically analyze sources and understand who's writing sources, why that matters, and how they can use that in their historical analysis. I focus on building classroom community through creating connections between students and teacher, and I really believe this is especially critical this year as much as it was last year too. I really want students to not only learn the content, but also to learn important skills that they can take with them into really any course. So we will focus a lot in here on communication, on research, and on writing. And I hope to teach students also how to advocate for themselves and for their education. I have high expectations for every single one of my students, and I provide structure for them and support to meet those expectations. So a little bit about Pre-IB World History 2. So this class, along with other pre-IB classes, is sort of your student's introduction to the IB program. This course is rigorous and it does demand much from your students. It is designed this way to prepare students for the IB program or for AP if they choose to take that. Skills emphasized are effective note-taking, evaluations of sources, focused questions, so creating their own questions or being able to answer focused questions from a text, analytical writing, in-class research essays, and then productive group work discussions and presentations. So the content that's covered in this class is going to include material from European contact with various regions up through the 1950s and the colonization movement. So what we're going to study in this course and how this course is going to work is there's really 5 main units of study: pre-colonial civilizations, colonialism, independence movements, global conflict, and then modernization and globalization. While there are only 5 units, these units are going to last a long time because what we will be doing is starting each unit with kind of a brief overview of that time period of what's going on in history. And then students are going to focus on 2 to 3 countries or regions to analyze how those different regions experienced or were affected by different historical events. So this is almost going to look like case studies. As we get into each unit, they will focus on specific countries or regions and write their essays and research projects around those. I should also mention before I move to the next slide that we will really emphasize the skills that students need for IB. So these are going to be being able to write under timed pressure, like an in-class essay, being able to critically analyze sources, and being able to read and take productive, focused notes. Okay, so the way that I grade is maybe slightly different than the way that you've experienced grading or assessment before. So I use what's called standard-based grading, and I use a scale, an 8-point scale that looks like this. So essentially what this means is if your student receives a 0 from me, if you look in Synergy and there is a 0 in the gradebook, that means it's missing, that they will get a 50% on that assignment. And usually that means it's just missing. They didn't turn it in. Now, if they get an 8, a 7, or an 8, that really means that they did an outstanding job. Excellent, kind of above and beyond. If they get a 6 to a 5, that's really a B, solid work, really demonstrating that they understand the content we're talking about, or they've really shown proficient ability in that skill that we're working on for the unit. A 4 or a 3 is nearing expectations. That's sort of that C-level work. They're starting to demonstrate good knowledge, nearing my expectations, and maybe have some work to do. And then a 2 or a 1 is they're really demonstrating limited knowledge or skill, or it's unsatisfactory, the work that they have turned in. So this is the scale I will use. And again, like I said, what I use is a practice called standards-based grading. So for each unit, I will give your student a series of learning objectives. So for example, in this first unit, they're going to be working on research, and they're also going to be doing some analytical writing. So what you would see in the gradebook would be kind of the research process as a score, and then like their thesis statement of that part of their essay would be another score. So instead of seeing assignments that get scored, I'm going to be focusing on those individual objectives or standards and scoring them using this scale based on how they have demonstrated whether or not they meet those objectives or standards. So your student, I showed this to your student, and so I'm showing it to you as well. So you'll see that some of the language on here is set up for students, but I thought this would be an extremely helpful slide for parents to see as well. So your students will complete assignments that are aligned to the objective, so aligned to kind of the final objective or standard for the unit. These kind of assignments that are practice will be considered formative assessments. So they're practice for feedback. They're really kind of where your student will be able to take risks, make some mistakes, get feedback from me. These are incredibly important assignments, and they're incredibly important for your student to meet the deadlines on so that they can get timely feedback. However, these assignments will not affect their grade because, again, I want to encourage students to try their best, to maybe make a mistake and get some feedback. And so those will not affect their grade, but they are extremely important for their summative assessments, which will affect their grade. So students will also be reflecting throughout the year on kind of how they think that they are doing. And they'll be providing me with evidence to show if they've met that standard or objective. So it'll be both a combination of me looking at their reflections and then my actual assessment of how they are moving towards those standards. And students are allowed to reassess if they receive a score of 5 or lower. So some frequently asked questions I've received from students before on how this works. So we'll focus here on the formative assessments, reassessments, and late assignments, and then I will talk about what to do if students are absent. So like I said, that difference between formative and summative, formative really means practice that they build towards those summative assessments, and they're not graded, but they're used for students to get feedback. Summative assignments are going to be those larger assignments like projects, tests, presentations, essays, and those are going to be graded and used to determine your student's mastery of standards for the unit. So those are what will go in the gradebook. Now, reassessments, like I said, are allowed if your student receives a 5 or lower. To reassess, students must follow a reassessment plan. And that reassessment plan will always include completing all of the formative assessments. So they can't reassess until they have completed all of those formative kind of practice assessments. And then late work. How will late work in this class? So it's accepted for full credit until the end of the grading period, the quarter or the semester, when the assignment was due. If an summative assessment is turned in late, students will need to explain to me why that assessment is turned in late through a no work form or a conference with me, or maybe both. If this becomes a consistent issue with your student, then we will conference with all of us, your student, parents, everyone together, to figure out what we can do to make sure that assignments are turned in on time. And then the final frequently asked question I get is what to do if your student is absent. So it's really your student's responsibility to use the resources available on Schoology to determine what they need to do to make up assignments that they missed. All assignments, our class daily slides, and our class calendar are posted to Schoology. And so those resources would be the best place to check if students are absent. And I'll show you in just a second where that all is on Schoology too. So if you need to help your student find those things, you can do that easily. Okay, so some class resources and support. As I said, Schoology is updated nearly daily. Students can see our daily agendas, our week at a glances, and our student calendar, as well as videos and additional resources to support students. Student and parent view is really where I'll update grades. So that's where the grades on summative assessments will be, and communication about complete or incomplete formative assessments. Schoology is where your students can go to get feedback, but it shouldn't be where they go to check their grades. If they want to know their final grade, they should go to student view or parent view or synergy for that. And then finally, if your students have any questions at any point, they can email me. I check my email frequently, and I'm happy to set up an additional meeting or help sessions as needed. Okay, so before I leave you, I want to show you where some things are that could be important for you to help your student with using Schoology. So what I have here is my 4th period World History 2 Schoology class, and this looks basically the same for all of my classes. So what you see at the top is this device checkout form. Many of your students have already got their devices, but if for some reason they need to do it again, it's here. This is the hall pass students use in class to check in and check out. I have course resources here, which has our syllabus, our warm-up sheet, and then the no work form students complete if their work is late. And then what's most important is every unit, I will put our class calendar, our daily slides. These are what our assignments look like. And then I'll often have some sort of kind of reference folder. So this is a reference folder on how to take notes. And there's many links to sort of reference documents here. So if your student is ever absent, the great place to look is going to be our student calendar. I update this pretty much daily. And what this has is due dates and what we did that day. So if your student, let's say, has a big sporting event coming up, or they know they're going to miss a class, they can keep track of deadlines here and know what we did using this calendar. The other great place to look is going to be our daily slides. So the daily slides have literally what I go over in class every day. I just put into our daily slides slideshow, and then that way if students are ever absent or they just miss something in class, they can check this. So this, for example, has our agenda for the day. I always do an attendance question, so we have that. And then you'll see their week at a glance, their agenda for the day, learning objectives, and then what we did that day will always be there. And I update that every day after class. So I think those are the important things to know about Schoology. The other thing I will say is that your student should have shown you a syllabus signature assignment, which you should have signed and then left any questions, comments, concerns for me on that. So if you haven't seen that yet, check in with your student and make sure that that gets turned in. And if you have any questions on it, or you would like to request a hard copy, just send me an email and I'm happy to get your student a hard copy or answer any questions. All right, thank you so much for your time. I am so excited to work with your students this year. It has been such a joy so far, so I cannot wait for the rest of the year. Thank you so much. And again, reach out with any questions anytime.